Welcome everybody to episode 162, I think it is, of the You Can't Cop This NBA Trading Card Podcast. We are your hosts, Adam, Amy, and Russell Gibson. Russell, how are you this evening?
Very, very happy to be here, my friend. And I think more than usual, we have a run sheet that is absolutely chockers. And I don't think we're going to get through it all this week, but
Yeah, there's a lot.
Let's give it a red
there.
hot go.
Yeah, well, that's it. We'll give it our best. We'll try not to take up 2 or 3 hours of the listeners' time. We probably
of banter. Let's just get down to it, right?
Straight off the bat. Let's
do have a little bit of housekeeping though. So show update, and to be honest, I should have done this a fair few episodes ago when we got to 30,000. We're actually up to 31,417 downloads. I checked that day before yesterday, so it's just a really big thank you to all of our listeners, really, for that. It's just It's so heartwarming, I think is the right word to say for that. So just thanks everyone, for your support. I think the other thing too to say thank you for your support is about, we put up a clip last week about us having a cease and desist order. Thank you everyone for your support. We've had a few PMs about that, just wishing us well, offering us some pro bono legal support.
Legal support, yeah.
We have found a lawyer. We've actually found one in USA, New Mexico. Sol Goodman will be representing us moving forward. So thank you to all the law firms that have offered us pro bono services, but we are going with Sol Goodman.
Yep.
He is the man for You Can't Comp This. And, hopefully we can get this sorted out with the NBA as quick as we can.
Hopefully. I mean, we've gotten to hot water a couple of times. I know Giannis Antetokounmpo did leave a message for the show.
He did, didn't he? Yeah.
We've had Adam Silver complain. Jeez.
Yeah. It's just non-stop, really,
it's
isn't it?
Half-Life in the spotlight, really.
That's right. Critics everywhere. Yeah.
It is.
Adam, let's let you lead this first one, mate, because I know this is very close to your heart, and for me, this is not really something that I know very much about, but, the context for me is just the absolute monopoly and just they're running the table at the moment. So I think this is definitely worth talking about.
It's definitely
for
a
couple of minutes. Yeah.
Definitely in the news. Topps have expanded their deal with Disney.
Expanded their universe.
Yeah. So
yeah.
They announced an expanded deal to include Marvel and Pixar cards. Now, what that means at the moment is, I suppose there's 2 different licenses that were circulating. From what I can tell, starting in 2025, and I've got the statement from Fanatics, our friends, basically starting in 2025, in addition to the global Star Wars collaboration they've got with Topps.
Yeah.
This will now apply to Disney, Pixar, and Marvel.
Yeah.
Now, there were rights, so they did have European products with Marvel and whatnot, but I believe that I suppose Upper Deck's days are coming to an end. So those things like the Fleer metal in the Marvel series might be gone, but it'll be now available through Topps. So it looks like Fanatics are really grabbing the bull by the horns, so to speak, or they're really trying to acquire some big properties.
And I think from a logistical point of view, it actually makes sense, doesn't it? Because underneath the Disney umbrella is Marvel and Pixar already, isn't it?
I think so.
And so,
yeah.
And then with that Disney, they also have got Star Wars too. Like they purchased that from George Lucas not that long ago. So for that all to be together, and then all to be together with Topps / Fanatics, that actually makes a whole lot of sense, doesn't it? To be just streamlined through. So maybe it was more of a matter of contracts ending and they were actually following the proper process instead of railroading like they did for the NFL.
So they're consolidating
and stealing contracts from Panini. Like it's probably the better way to do it, isn't it?
They're more consolidating their properties and making them put them under one umbrella.
Yeah.
Some of the feedback online that I've seen, I did a little bit of research, which is really unlike me, but it's a very interesting topic.
I want to hear your research because this is definitely your level of expertise, I think.
My research totaled probably 2 YouTube videos and then I got bored. But
at least you're honest at your limits, yeah.
But the early news is that the first release will be out in the first quarter of 2025, and given its fanatics, it will go under the same release structure as we're expecting with, from Topps, who are owned by Fanatics. But the release structure is going to be very similar to basketball, where your first order price is probably the lowest price you'll pay for the product. And there are rumors going around that with Fanatics' real move to promote breaking, that these Marvel products are going to be really designed for a break product. So I don't know how that would work, but.
And so would it be similar where you go into a pick your player case break?
Imagine pick a
So you go into a case of now you get Wolverine and then someone else gets Iron Man. Is that how that would sort of play out?
Yeah, like I have no idea how it would work. Could you imagine like doing a case of something and having, I suppose it's Marvel, so you'd pay per character.
Yeah.
Or like Star Wars, you'd be like, you pay premiums for, I don't know, Luke Skywalker or Darth Vader. By the way, rest in peace, James Earl Jones, early in the week.
Yeah, that happened this week, didn't it?
Yeah, so...
he's definitely been a part of my childhood life in terms of movies. And actually, now you're talking about that, we recently watched with the kids The Sandlot.
Wow.
Or, as I knew it, The Sandlot Kids.
Yep.
And James Earl Jones was in that. He was the guy whose house they were.
Wow.
Yeah, I completely forgotten about that.
It was pretty funny because it was a sad day. I saw the news and then I chuckled because one of the first I was looking through and then Mark Hamill is just like R.I.P. Dad. And I'm like, it's not bad taste. It's actually just sort of paying homage to the man. So yeah, definitely been an icon. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see some Star Wars breaks and some Marvel breaks and I don't know, Disney, Pixar.
So my whole thing about products like this is, and I'm going to put, this is a little bit barbaric really, but this is how I break it down in my head is I sort of put this sort of stuff in the same category as like Garbage Pail Kids, where it's still pretty cheap, that stuff.
Yeah.
It's cheap enough that you can actually just buy a whole box and rip it. So are you anticipating that that's no longer going to be the case now it comes under the Topps umbrella?
The Marvel, I suppose the metal stuff, the Marvel metal stuff was never really cheap.
How much was that per box?
It was quite high. Not comparable to basketball, but it wasn't Garbage Pail Kids cheap.
Yeah, okay, cool.
There were products that were, don't get me wrong, but it'd be interesting to see what Topps do with it. I mean, at the moment, given we're not in 2025 yet, they could release a product with just, I don't know, generic cartoon character looking people with color schemes. Put a green guy and not call him the Hulk, just call him Green Guy.
You mean like unofficial,
That's
unlicensed?
That's exactly right.
Is this where you're going with this?
It's exactly where I'm going with it.
I couldn't imagine there'd be a market for that stuff, honestly.
Yes, well, who knows? Who knows?
Surely.
They could have just like non-superhero backgrounds.
So, yeah, okay. And what's the return on investment for something like that? Because, you know, the sort of the general thing with basketball, and we're going to talk about this we got a listener question about this today later on. So let's not go into too much in the basketball side, but you buy a box of it. What's the chance of breaking even on a box of Marvel at the moment? Like
at the moment, I think there are products out there that there is value. There are a lot of collectors in the same vein as sports cards. It's the same thing, I guess. The
sometimes you hit, sometimes you miss.
Yeah, and the supply demand profile, I guess, is different because it's a different audience. They're after different things, but I think the landscape of that is about to change again with the change from Upper Deck to Topps. Let's just hope the hits that they're putting in and I suppose the autos and things that they're including are sought after and good value.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely interesting to see what the landscape holds as far as how this product will look in a Breakers universe.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So that was your story of the week. My story of the week was Shannon Sharp going live on Instagram with his consensual partner. Now, the wording and language I'm going to use is very deliberate in an attempt to keep this family friendly. However, if you do have children around that you don't want listening to puns, probably just turn it down for maybe the next minute and a half, 2 minutes or so. So basically, he's with his consensual partner. He goes live on Instagram. If you would like to see/hear this footage, you need to go onto Twitter, because currently Twitter is the garbage dump of all social media sites, which essentially it's just unfiltered. It's a bit like 4chan
and no one
at the
takes
moment.
anything down.
Yeah. And so he didn't get fired for it, which really set off Paul Pierce. So basically, Paul Pierce was saying he held a party with professional ladies, did some Instagram videos, and then the next week was fired from ESPN. So he was pretty cheesed off about that. So then Shannon Sharpe goes back onto live TV and just, faces the music head on. Now, Instagram handle of this guy is called @FearedBuck. Basically just went to town on this guy and just made jokes about him. My favorite joke of their interview, though, is when he was telling Shannon Sharpe that he needs to improve his cardio, that he was just running out of puff halfway through. So I thought that was just like absolutely classic. It's a very 2024 sort of moment, isn't it? Where people's intimacy goes, live on Instagram, and then we joke about it the next day on TV.
It's a very different world we're living in. I think that's all.
What a time to be alive, Adam.
It's a bit odd. I don't know. Sometimes, remember the days where you had to read about this stuff in the newspaper? Photos were leaked. I don't know.
No, there's no photos or anything like that. It was just a really badly. I don't even know how you do it. It takes more than one press to go live on Insta.
This is true. There's nothing unintentional about it.
That's what my wife was saying. She's like, was it accidental,
Yeah, no, it sounds very, very fabricated. Not fabricated, but intentionally produced.
Yeah. Anyway, we've done our 2 minutes on that. Let's move on. So back to basketball cards. Golden goes on live Instagram in a t-shirt. I feel like it's kind of like showing off his arms a little bit, like at least his biceps. Do you think Ad was a little bit short around his biceps?
Oh, probably. Yeah,
literally
bit of a flex.
Flexing, holding this card up, flexing it, holding onto it. Got my hands on the 1-of-1 Topps Now Olympics Steph LeBron KD card for our September Elite. He looked very, very happy about it. Isn't it funny with guys like this? I feel like getting money in their pocket doesn't make them happy anymore. It's beating out their opposition to list 1-of-1 cards onto their auctions is what makes him happy. I think beating Jeff Wilson here is really the crux of it. I think their online battle has been quite epic these last couple of weeks. As much as I hate Jeff Wilson, I've been enjoying his little back and forth there. So
I do like the little rivalry that's established.
Yeah, that's right.
It's quite amusing. I don't know. It's
So, like, this is great, but at the same time, the 1-of-1 autograph still hasn't been pulled. So, it's probably also a good time for us to go back and price check some of these packets, because we talked about this the last couple of weeks.
We've checked in on it a couple of times. There's still
there's not a lot of sales data on there, so it actually makes me think what David Ralph said a couple of weeks back was actually very accurate in that these sales literally just been sold, but they haven't been paid for, or the order's been cancelled, whatever it is. But there are 2 sales on there that I could find, one for 1,500 and one for 3,499. So let's just say the truth is probably closer to the 1.5. In my head, that probably makes a lot more sense.
For sure.
It also makes sense to me that all the other sales have been removed. So now there's some singles are starting to pop up online there too. So basically there was like a 5-card lot for $10.50 USD. A nice looking singles on there for about $20, and then there was a foil image variation for 113 USD. So, the part I kind of like about this is that, like some of this stuff is going for crazy numbers, which is fun. Like, let's be honest about that. To purchase something for $10 and then to flip it for $1,000 or more, that's fun.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not dirty doing the flip. Like it's okay, guys. I think it's fine to talk about this. But what's also fun for me is that the buy-in was $10.
Call it the flick rather than the flip.
Or the roll. We haven't decided on this, have we?
We still haven't decided on this. This will be our next big debate.
But then the after sale ad, I think that's very reasonable. If you want to get your hands on 5 of these cards for $10, that's great. If you want to get a nice single for $20, you know what? That's collectible and that's fun. I'm totally fine with this. And then if you want to get a variation for $100, that's not outrageous, I don't
Yeah,
think. So
yeah. I did say this weeks ago on the show that I didn't think this card is a joke. I think the way the market's treating it, it definitely
yeah,
isn't. People are after this one of one. I think this moment in NBA American basketball history,
let's call it Topps history.
Topps history.
Yeah,
It's their big relaunch.
yeah,
It is. This is one of those cards like that. The Wemby one of one is obviously the one of one auto from Wemby. That's
yeah,
one of the big ones for Topps in their
definitely.
in their great comeback, in their resurgence. But this Team USA triple auto.
Sure.
That's another one of their flagship cards.
It's a great idea. I think all this instant stuff, Panini didn't do that right. And I think, in a very early variation or version of it, they've done it very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Why don't we take our first break? We're actually got our
on.
management of time down this week. So
Doing it well. We're doing
yeah,
it well this
let's
week.
go get a quick drink and we'll come back, guys. And we are back. Adam, how are you feeling, champ?
I'm feeling refreshed. Very
Refreshed?
refreshed.
Great. So let's talk about our friends at fastbreaktradingcards.com. If you go onto their website, fastbreaktradingcards.com, you will find an absolute range of products for you to choose from. You'll find Fanatics memorabilia, which we're going to talk about in a minute a little bit more. They've got Disney Lorcana, they've got Pokemon, One Piece, they've got supplies, they've got grading deals available for you. They've got basketball, football, baseball, UFC. I went onto their page this week and I found some products which I thought were pretty good. $8 optic packs.
Nice.
Topps
Nice.
Pure Class basketball for $5 a pack. Now, most of the things that I focused on were at the cheaper end, just to pick you up for a couple of dollars.
Yep.
However, I did find something which I thought was worth mentioning: a Bob Cousy Mitchell and Ness swingman with the inscription Hall of Fame 71, also with his autograph on it, of course, for $895. However, our friends at Fast Break Trading Cards have got something for the listeners. It is a 10% discount code, which is YCCT, being you can't comp this, and then 10 as in 10%. So YCCT and then the number 10, and that will get you 10% off at checkout. Now, the reason why this is also a little bit timely for us to talk about is because there was a massive conclusion to a lawsuit where an Australian company called Fanatics or Fanatics Australia, let's just call it that for the simplicity of the segment for today, were a company that offers tourists from overseas to come and experience sporting events in Australia, and they take them around, take them to sporting events, take them out to the pub afterwards, and they're labeled the Fanatics, okay?
Yep. So then, fanatical supporters, which is
exactly, yeah.
We're all sports nuts in Australia, so that makes sense.
Yeah, and we do love going to live sporting events, and we do love going to the pub. So it's just the perfect recipe for, young men and young women or young people to come to Australia and enjoy our culture. And so that's created an issue once Fanatics America have come into Australia trying to trade under the same name. So the scenario is that's really easy to understand when you go on to rebelsport.com.au or whatever the website is for Rebel, and you go to buy Fanatics clothing. It's got the Fanatics label on it, which is a direct, problem when it comes to copyright and all the rest of it. So it's actually been a very long-standing and long drawn-out court battle. If I'm understanding this correctly, it's been going on for about 10 years now.
Sheesh.
So just this week, it's just been ruled upon that Fanatics Australia has won the ruling. And so as a consequence, Fanatics US has to pay all of the court fees for Fanatics Australia. And they also can't trade in Australia as of September the 10th, I believe the date was. So
a few days ago.
Yeah. So what that means is for people buying from... So, for example, if you're buying off Rebel Sport and they're directly... How the process works is if you buy something off Rebel, I'm just using that as an example. They don't sponsor the show. The merchandise is held in America at the Fanatics warehouse or the Fanatics production house and then shipped directly to Australia. So that process can no longer happen.
Wow. So that's a big impact.
Yeah, a little bit of a grey area how that affects our friends at Fast Break Trading Cards. Perhaps now they're going to have the monopoly on the Fanatics product that's in Australia, and it's going to be a good time to jump onto their website and take advantage of that 10% discount code ad.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's awesome. Yeah, being able to jump onto the website and use is a pretty simple one. YCCT10.
Even I can remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't forget that.
So where my head went with all of this was, how is that going to affect trading cards?
Cards was my big.
So
I'm confused. Yeah,
we did reach out to a anonymous source about this, and all we can say is that the source is very well versed in these dealings. And basically, it's a really common sense response that we received is that it's not going to be a problem that they see because the trading cards aren't under the Fanatics logo per se. They're under the Topps.
Yep.
Logo. So that actually makes a whole lot of sense. And I was actually thinking about this off the air ad. I feel like I should be a consultant for Fanatics at this point. Just slap a Topps sticker onto all their Fanatics stuff. You know how products come through from overseas and they just put a sticker over the top of it? Just put a sticker where Fanatics was. It says Topps now.
Yeah.
Everyone understands who they're dealing with at this point.
And surely, I mean, it can say that they're associated with Fanatics US because they are associated with Fanatics US. They're just not trading as Fanatics US in Australia.
I think once you put the sticker over the top, though, that would like... I'm no copyright expert.
I'd always call that a Band-Aid solution, even though it's a sticker solution. But yeah,
there's nothing better than I like than a Band-Aid solution, Adam.
Oh boy, Fanatics. The fun just never stops.
Just constant headlines, isn't it? Really?
It is. They're gonna love this.
Final thoughts on this before we move on to mailbag?
If Aussie Fanatics really wanted to win this in a better way, they could have joined forces with Fanatics to have some exclusivity with regards to their jersey if they are taking people to events and things.
So I'm not speaking on this from any viewpoint other than this is my own just opinion on this. I think what I've observed from Fanatics is they don't like to play nicely with other people.
Yeah, they definitely
the way they negotiated
they bring their own sandpit.
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm. So I think you don't know that Fanatics Australia didn't want to hop into bed with Fanatics USA.
That's true.
I can't imagine that Fanatics USA wanted to hop in bed with Fanatics Australia. That's the way I look at that.
Yep. Well, it taught them a lesson, didn't it?
Yeah.
Costly one.
A very costly one too. That would be millions of dollars. Like, 10 years of court fees.
And that's a pretty big market. Actually, it's a sizable market if you're losing the Australian market.
I got to say, I don't think they'll lose it. They'll work something out. But I think the thing that actually makes me the most impressed out of all of this is it's obviously the David versus Goliath type scenario, but how an Aussie company could fund a 10-year battle with $1 billion.
They had the bloke from the castle. I'm joking.
As the lawyer?
Yeah, the lawyer.
You don't think they had our lawyer, Saul, from New Mexico?
No. They couldn't afford Saul. Didn't know his number. Yeah, interesting times, though.
Yeah. All right, mailbag. I'm picking the first question.
All right, I'll jump over.
This is from Ryan Miller.
Yep.
Still wondering when box prices come down.
Is that literally the question?
Kinda hoping Flag, as in Cooper Flag, is a dud, so we can see some easing on it next year, which is not going to happen, by the way. Who's buying these products though? Like, I'm all for a gamble, but the numbers don't stack up even for that. So I think it's not so much a question, but the reason why I wanted to lead with this is because I feel like this ties into, Fanatics are taking over. So how are they going to change the equation of how much sealed product costs? Yep. And also too, tying that back to that whole thing we're talking about with Topps, when you open a box and it costs you $500, do you get $500 worth of cards, back out of it? I think that's, and I agree with Ryan. I think sometimes it's, actually, let me rephrase that. Not sometimes. I actually can't even remember the last time I've opened a whole sealed box for myself. I'm very happy to go into breaks and I enjoy that. I've got no trouble with that. But actually, at the moment, I tell you what, I am opening is hanger packs. You can get Prism hanger packs for about $20 Aussie at the moment. You know, one of those every week or a fortnight or a month. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of like my opening sealed product experience at the moment. And I think it's a lot to do with what Ryan's touching on there. But I think having a bad draft class come out, and let's just say the product does come down to $200, but then you're not getting the same prospects in it. So actually, that's not a good thing. Like what you want is like cheap box prices with good prospects in it.
That's true. That is very true.
Maybe I'm just being irrational here. What's your thoughts on Ryan's question/statement?
I like where Ryan's head's at with this. Is like I just want some respite, I guess, on the play on words, the fanatical response to Topps getting back into the hobby, and it's all these people. You know when Prism launches, and the silver Prisms. We'll use Wemby. Wemby's the easy example, right? So day one Wemby. It's a $2,500 silver Prism, and now we settle at like $800. The boxes don't go that way, I guess, but they should. I mean, in the model, maybe they do. Maybe if they stop selling,
they do track up and down a little bit, But there is a point when, you know,
they're not coming.
They do start.
Down.
That's right. They do start to track up again. But I got to say though, I think anything that's Panini at this point in time. You know, I think you have to be very careful about putting it away. You need to know the exact redemption count in each box.
Yeah, I think that's.
Do you know what I mean? So
that's a good point.
You need to make so each product is going to be different. So if we're talking about 18, 19 Prism hobby, look, there's not a lot of redemptions in that. You're really just chasing, you know, numbered Lucas, silver Lucas, blah blah blah. So I think that's kind of like a pretty safe one.
Yeah.
But when you move into say like 17, 18 IMAX, 17, 18.
And you get if you're going to get redemptions or
where Donovan Mitchell is like the big boy, and then he's like a redemption now, and even now those redemptions aren't being redeemed. Like that to me is incredibly problematic. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's, and also too now I don't know. I kind of feel like, is there a chance that just Panini shuts the doors? It doesn't even give you points, right?
Well, I was going to say that's the big point, right? So instead of autos, Panini points were in.
But I can see a scenario where you get nothing.
Nothing for your points.
Yeah. Nothing for an expired redemption. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's
Anyway, let's go to another question. We've way segued here.
We've way segued.
We have way segued.
I mean, I could go with a really I'll go with the GIF that was shared by Greg Dolliver. And he's
it's funny you say this because I was just gonna skip past this. I wasn't even gonna mention it.
I think it's a very pessimistic one, but I don't agree with it. He said Greg Dolliver's put a downward spiral. I don't see. I see more on social media with the hobby at the moment. I see more activity within the hobby. I'm seeing more shows. I'm seeing. Do you know what I mean? Like it's.
I think within any hobby, within any social media type, you're always going to have people who see the negative side, you know, the cup half empty.
Yeah.
And then you are going to have the people who see the cup half full. So I'm going to go out into a limb here and say that Greg isn't feeling cup half full about the hobby at the moment. That's all I've got.
Yes. I think he's got his half full cup or half empty cup, and he's got a little teaspoon and he's swirling it. It's going in a downward spiral.
You think he's mixing his coffee in a clockwise direction?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
A little downward spiral. It's okay.
Actually, these questions, we can probably skip through this pretty quick. This is from Paul. What's on my mind at the moment? He will be forgotten like the other good players. Then his card prices will just be the same as the others. I mean, who is he? LeBron James, Kobe Bryant. I'm assuming he's talking about Wemby, but
I reckon. Oh, I don't know if it's Wemby because you've put the Steph up as the attention pick.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's the thoughts on Steph Curry.
So why don't we answer this question from two perspectives? Why don't we do it from Wemby and why don't we do it from Steph? Why
I
don't
like it.
you pick one player and I'll do the other? How does that sound?
I'll take the low hanging fruit, which is Steph Curry.
All right, go mate, go hit
Um,
it. Hit it hard.
there is just like people that throw paper at a waste paper basket and yell Kobe. Steph Curry will not be forgotten.
There is no way Steph Curry's being forgotten. I like this. This is not going
As
to
I
happen.
said, there is a generation of children that are growing up, that have grown up with all they want to do. They don't want to dunk the ball anymore. They want to jack it from three because of this guy.
They are playing basketball because of Steph Curry.
Yes, exactly right. And they're shooting very bad. They've got 3% 3-point shooting rates because they probably shouldn't be shooting threes. But that's not the point.
But the floor spacing is good, Adam.
It's great. You're very, very...
And the shot was open. You know, you got to shoot your shot when it's open, right?
This is true. When you're 8 years old and you probably can't hit a free throw, jacking threes at the end of the game probably isn't the way to go. But anyway...
All right. So then I'll answer it from a Wemby point of view, and I'll just leverage on from your point. I think it's more likely that Wemby gets forgotten than Steph Curry.
Agreed.
And I would say the chance that Wemby is forgotten is also quite small because I think his combination of size and skill is just something that it's actually quite baffling to really explain. Because as much as you think Giannis was the next freak, okay, so then we've just gone... fast forwarded, 50 more years into the future, and here's Wemby, like literally an alien just in front of us. So
yeah, look, like I don't think people are going to forget a guy that's.
And even if he bombs out, like say Zion Williamson, as bad as let's just say he bombs out as bad as Zion has, people still haven't forgotten Zion, and there's still a glimmer of hope. There's still a flame for Zion. So imagine how much optimism there'll be for Wemby, unless he breaks his leg into three pieces, I suppose.
I think the level of hype that came around Wemby hasn't. I think Zion's the only real comparison.
I think there was more hype around Zion and LaMelo and Ja than Wemby.
LaMelo I actually thought than Wemby, you reckon?
There was a lot of hype around LaMelo. I actually think the hype around Wemby was more just excitement as opposed to,
I think after year one, Wemby's on a much better trajectory than any other player in the last 10 years.
Sure. Maybe he's actually saying that Luka is the one that's going to be forgotten.
We already know he's going to be forgotten. We know this already. Old news.
All right. Sean Alloway. Sweet card. Have been looking at 90s insert sets this year and just pulled the trigger and picked up the whole set of 93, 94 Fleer Ultra Power and the Key. Whoa. Should be here next week. Frothing the designs of the 90s cards at the moment. Yep.
Yeah. There are some very, very, very sweet insert sets from back in that.
And that probably just leverages on a little bit from Joe Fu, still picking up more of the 90s and super rare inserts for the prices in comparison to the modern stuff is an absolute steal. The hit rates on some of these cards are astronomical, but their prices don't reflect it. Perks of being old and chasing the old players and not much into gambling on the new rooks. Yeah, so I think this is really the whole thing about buying what makes you happy.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
And if that's your happy place and you see value in it, because I think buying something that you see value in is actually quite important because no one ever really feels good about getting shield, do they, to 150% comps.
Agreed.
The gambling part, I see where Joe's coming from because I think gambling can be referred to opening sealed packets. It can be referred to opening sealed boxes, prospecting and going to breaks. I think there's that part of it. I think that's what he's touching on. But at the same time, too, we can't let that comment go without saying that not all vintage stuff is safe as houses. So there is still some risk in buying that stuff. It's not all, guaranteed.
Yeah. I wouldn't say there's any real guarantees with the older stuff, but you get some cool stuff. I admit I'm with Joe on the picking up some of the 90s stuff. I mean, after Joe and I had our little chat the other week, I went and picked up some Scottie Pippen beam teams, and I actually bought a set. I bought a set of the Thunder and Lightning cards we were talking about.
Can you please put it onto social so we can look at it?
My stuff? Yeah, I can. I'll put some social stuff up.
Yeah. Mate, the people will love it.
Love,
People will
love
love
the
it.
stuff that I'm chasing. I've got another one coming, but it's not in my hand yet, so that'll go up.
All right.
It's not pocket change. It's not 90s. So
2 more things before we tie this up. Number one, thank you for everyone for contributing. However, I do need to give everyone, and this is not aimed at anyone in particular, just in general, please ask questions. Making statements is very hard for us to answer questions by. The second thing I wanted to say here is actually I'm going to reply to Greg Dolliver. So I wasn't going to reply to this, but I've changed my mind. So I want to do a segment next week called the $0 card experience, where we can all share our ideas about how to engage with the hobby on a budget. Because the last couple of weeks, I've had this kind of like dark thought about, am I spending too much on the hobby? And can I give myself a break in terms of dollar wise and just do things that cost me nothing? So how can you engage with the hobby that doesn't cost you a cent? I think that would be a really good segment to do and sort of hear people's different sort of life hacks to, to get through when you need to save a couple of bucks or the wife doesn't want you to spend, any money or, whatever, the scenario is.
We're still waiting on wives to reach out to us to come on the show for a segment.
We had more lawyers reach out to us than wives. I don't know what that says about our listener base. We need to run it
through legal if they do reach out, though.
We'll need Sol to read over the notes.
We'll need to do it on delay, I think, just in case we need to edit stuff out.
All right. On that point, let's go grab a break and then we'll be right back. 36:55, something like that.
36, yeah, something.
Alrighty, we are back. Thank you everyone for coming back.
Can I just tie off the mailbag, because there are a couple of smaller posts that we may have missed.
Yeah.
We've got James Gregory who said he's still planning on building up the world's biggest collection of the little goat, Marvin Williams.
That's not a question.
And there was I feel like you've put a card up, so everyone else is putting cards up. And then there's a Josh Giddey Go Bulls, but he's wearing a Thunder jersey. I don't get it.
It's not a question.
It's a pretty bold statement. Come on, Bulls. Was that with fingers crossed? I can't see the emoji.
Look, Josh Giddey is a buy at the moment. There's no doubt about that. So yes, go Bulls, go Josh Giddey.
Giddy up.
Yeah. Alrighty, advertisement time. Hobby Hangout. Thank you for your eternal support and optimism in Adam and I. We thank you so much for all the opportunities that you've given us at your shows over the years, really, isn't it, Ad?
Yeah, over the years now it's been. Yeah.
And we are honored to be a representative for you and tell people about the product that you're bringing forward. So thank you so much again. Hobby Hangout Melbourne, 17th of November. Go to the hobbyhangout.com.au to get your tickets. Now, I'm just looking at the tickets at the moment, which are actually sold via OzTix. First release are still available. So in other words, that's the early bird tickets, which are selling
there's not many left.
Yeah, saying less than 50 left. So they're $29 a ticket. The subsequent ticket releases are $34 and $39 a pop. Now, with the early bird tickets, you get an entry into a $500 raffle, so that's always good. And then also everyone will be getting a show bag this year. So that's, something I think is a really positive move for me. Also in Sydney, they will be selling tickets for, here we go. The date on this is, I cannot find the date.
1st of December.
Sunday. Thank you, Adam. Sunday, the 1st of December at the University of New South Wales Anzac Parade in Kensington. It's the same Hobby Hangout recipe. They've got all the trading zones, the poker zones, the workshop, the live breaks, the panels, Card Fever, Mick Fett trading cards, Pops Galore, Boop collectibles. Jay Swish is going to be there. The Corner Post, Devitt collectibles, Aussie Collector. There's heaps, 70 plus different stalls are going to be there. So check it all out, guys. You won't regret going to the hobby hangout.
I'll tell you what, we need to, not this coming one in December, but maybe we need to go to a hobby hangout in another state.
I think we need to be flown up there, Ad. You know, like
yeah, that's a good idea. I like see
corporate type arrangement.
Yeah. The hobby hangout's private jet can fly us there.
That's right.
Or
First class
helicopter ride till we arrive at the venue.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. Alrighty. Now, last week, it's not often we disagree that much, so I thought I'd just flog this horse as long as we could. So I put up a social media post about this.
Got some traction
this
too.
Is the NBA debut Victor Wembanyama from Mosaic, the beautiful nebula there. I guess 35K, which was very heavily influenced by Eric Whiteback. I'll definitely admit that. And Adam, you just went straight to the future prices of 150K.
Yes.
What's your general consensus about this post and what people sort of fed back into?
Before I even read any of the comments, my first reaction, because I do believe you put this up as a reel on as a short on YouTube, that I may have been hasty in my 150K guess.
I mean, I was probably trying to influence people's thoughts to support me. I can't really
I don't know.
confirm or deny this.
I still think 100's not unrealistic.
Okay.
It's a really good looking card.
It's a beautiful card.
Look, yeah. I think there are people on my side. There are some people on your side. Of note, I would like to say that Ryan has said about 100K.
Yeah, so Ryan Miller said that. He also mentioned about market cap.
Yes.
Now, the king of collectibles might be Golden, but the king of market cap is Ryan from GemRate. So, Ryan, if you are listening, please chip in and send us in the right direction in terms of Wemby market cap.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. We want to know. But it's nice to see somebody put 6 figures on this card as well.
Yeah. So we did have a couple of people put it down for that. We also had Wade Anthony at 125. We had Matthew Hull at 375 in Netflix fees, trip to Atlanta, fees to you can't comp this, and then add $500 more as it's better than Luca. So I think Matthew is Team Adam at this point.
Yep, agreed. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. Or once Ken Golden and Jeff Wilson shill the living crap out of this card, you imagine it'll be closer to 500K. You're probably right.
Yeah. Why don't you do the flip side, the ones that were more sort of closer to my end, and then we can close this bad boy off.
I don't think I've got the comments in order, but
sure, doesn't matter.
We've got who have we? Well, okay, Anthony Milne, 30K. So
yep.
So pretty close to your guess there. Same as Blair Shave with 30K. 27K for Ross Berman.
Yep.
Then we've got Levi Coombe, 45K.
Hope you're well, Ross, by the way, mate. I haven't spoken to you for a long time. Sorry.
No, that's all right. It's where are we? Yeah, Andrew Coe, 25 to 30K. Yeah, John O'Michaels, 55K, sort of closer to your number than my number.
Still quite high, right?
Yep. Andrew Suter Hewitt is 18K.
Yeah. I've got to be honest with you.
Alistair Campbell said $60.
I think he might have left a letter off that. I actually wonder if Andrew is maybe the most correct out of all of these answers, to be honest. Like
18.
Yeah, it's kind of a sensible number. I think spending that much money on Mosaic, man, is crazy.
We've got
but that's bananas.
Adam Muirhead, 47.
If you've got 18K, put it into Prism. You know?
Zachariah, 50 to 75K.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's quite a bit of we've got Carl Morley, 75K, so he's smack bang in the middle.
Yeah.
Really. Well, he's actually closer to your side of the fence than my side of the fence here. Hope you're well, Carl, over in New Zealand.
So we had a couple of answers on Instagram, which is a little bit unusual. We have a different type of interaction when it comes to Insta. So the .laker.collection. This is the August and September price, which is kind of a funny reference to how cards spike really high and then drop all the way down. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
actually
I
a
like
pretty good
that.
answer.
I
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, it depends what month it sells.
Lift off cards around 50K. White Wit Rose cards. Give me some Kobe, Chef, and Hakeem autos for that price. I have to admit that that's a bit like the Andrew answer, isn't it? Really, like just
Yeah.
put your money somewhere else.
Yeah.
Talking Egg cards, 75,000 Tasmanian dollars, which I think we all know that those dollars are only accepted in Tasmania. So unfortunately, you can't purchase any Wemby with that.
True.
Yep.
What have we got? 40K ish from the Illusion Collector.
Yeah.
Interesting. This has definitely got a bit of traction.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Right, another one of one has surfaced. This is from our friends at Card Letter. This is from 5 days ago.
Oh no.
The select one of one Black Pulsar first off the line snakeskin. And that is an absolute mouthful. And if you added in his name plus BGS 10 pristine, it's almost you need commas, apostrophes, and taking a breath in between saying all that. $40,260 is the sold price on that ad.
Well, we
How
all
do you
know
feel about that?
how undervalued Select is. So, I mean, where's Mosaic and Select stand? We might actually get some insight into our other card.
I think Mosaic is less than Select, actually.
Is it though?
Yeah, I think so.
Depends which Select.
Yeah, of course.
Select is such a hit and miss set. This is actually quite a beautiful looking card.
I actually agree with you, but if I had to choose, I would choose the Nebula.
You would?
And yeah, I do like that Nebula. There's something about having a Nebula in your hand. It's pretty amazing. But that is 10. And
That
actually
is a 10, yeah.
really close to a Black Label. It's only 0.5 off a Black Label ad. So weird they didn't send it to PSA, but, that's kind of not a complete deal breaker.
But in terms of, so you'd rather the Nebula than that?
Yeah, I think so. In terms of like pure aesthetics, and also to the design on the Mosaic, I probably prefer to the Select. But the snakeskin is cool.
You know what? Something you said on the.
Oh God, what did I do now?
No. I like the look of this card. I think, and look, the both cards have got this, but I'm like, I like this because it's got your rookie shield. It's got his name clearly. And it's, we're seeing the player front on, unlike all of the Topps cards.
Yeah.
So it says Spurs, but anyway, no, I think this is a really beautiful card. So
okay,
yeah, good price.
So do you prefer the snakeskin over the Nebula? Is that where you're going?
I would, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, just because it's a black and white uniform with the grey. I think this suits.
Yeah, cool.
Whereas I think the Nebula, the purple, you know what I mean, like the blue purple stuff, takes it out of the Spurs look.
Yeah, sure.
So, given in true color match style, I would like the black, the one that's got more of the color match on it.
Yeah, no. I mean, at this point, we're just really picking at whatever we can, aren't we?
I mean,
a Nebula versus a black snakeskin,
We're just talking Wemby one of ones.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's have a break. Then we'll come back and we'll just quick hit as much as we can for the last 15 minutes or so. We've got one more Wemby to go through, but that's okay. We can do that when we come back.
We can hit off with that one.
Yeah. And we are back. Adam, are you ready for some quick hitting 15 minutes of You Can't Comp This?
Of quick hitting, eye-catching
Wembies for starters.
Basketball card news.
Instagram, AltXYZ official. Now, this is a Wemby BGS 10 pristine, so that means 10 on all of the subgrades.
Yep.
bronze to 20. I've seen and held a bronze to 20 this year, and they look absolutely fantastic. I really like this card in terms of the design. Traditionally, Fast Break don't do that well on the aftermarket, but I feel like that's starting to turn around a little bit. I've always felt there's a bit of value there on Fast Break, but all I can say is that black label with the black Spurs uniform. You talk about color matches. I think that's absolutely delicious and perfect.
That's pretty amazing. Yeah. The black label is that's
extremely
the one
hard
thing
to get.
That's the one thing that Beckett's got that PSA don't.
Do not have. Absolutely.
And
absolutely. Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, that's it. Congratulations. I think we leave it at that. Fanatics have been hacked. Now, this is a little bit of an unsubstantiated story, but still, I think, interesting to talk about. This is from a listener, Zane Sweet of the SCN universe, I think we can call that. I entered the Fanatics drop for 2023 Chrome Basketball. I received an email saying I successfully entered the drop. I never received another email, and under order history, I had nothing. However, I was still charged by Fanatics $700 and $200. I call Fanatics customer service, and the guy is outside with a rooster in the background. I mean, working from home these days, if you've got roosters in the background, I mean, fair enough. And he says he cannot do anything because there's no order for him to investigate. So I use the live support chat on Twitter, and they tell me I have to contact my bank and to dispute the charge. Have screenshots. Bank of America is now saying I'm not eligible to dispute this because they are limited in their actions. It was an ACH. I'm not exactly too sure what that means, but that since I do not have a tracking number or order history, that my only option is to cancel the dispute with no refund. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of the modeling that Fanatics wants to introduce. If they have vulnerabilities in their processes, in their systems, this is the type of stuff they need to weed out immediately so that consumers can actually go into their products and be safe. So for me, this is a two-pronged response, really. The first thing is, Fanatics need to make this guy whole and just refund him sight unseen, because if they're going to cut out all the middlemen, which is essentially what they want to do, they want to cut out all the distribution chains, they want to cut out the hobby shops, they want to cut out the breakers and just go straight to people. That's fine, but then they need to take on the costs of doing that. And then the second part is that people need to be a little bit wary in terms of, hacks that it's going around too, because when I hear things like, I was talking to the customer service person, there's a rooster in the background. I mean, did you actually call the right line? And is the only support chat that you can access is via Twitter? Like, surely Fanatics have got on their own website a proper support channel.
Yeah, something doesn't smell right with that, if that makes sense.
I think there's a lot going on here, but at the same time too, it's also not completely unbelievable because
of course,
I mean, my wife's Amazon account just got hacked this week, and then there was someone calling her up saying, you've been hacked. There's all these phones on there. Like, it happens even to, massive sites like Amazon. That's my other point about this too. It's not just exclusive to Fanatics on this. So, final thoughts on that one, Ad?
I was going to make a joke about the early bird catching the worm with the roosters,
but the rooster got it.
Yeah, that's it. I don't know. Yep. I'll leave
that's it. You're out.
I'm not convinced, but we'll see what happens.
So I think this story is really, to summarize it in one line, this is about the failure of the Shilling Group, the alleged Shilling Group of Trae Young. So this is the black gold PSA 10 Panini Prism rookie card for Trae Young. So in June of 2020, it sold for $30,000. September 2020, it sold for $41,000. March 2022, sold for $120,000. December 23 sold for $11,000. September 24, it sold for $10,070. So I think if you're a Trae Young collector and hoping for him to make a recovery, I think you should probably look at this numbers, which was presented by five card guys. Follow them on Instagram. They're a really good follow. Yeah, look, not great news. I actually think this is a little bit of a wake-up call. We do talk about shilling and how it's a bad thing, but when you see it like that, that's
pretty
that's
gross,
also in
isn't it?
combination with, COVID, but geez, that was bad. Yeah. what happened with Trae Young stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty cooked.
All right, this one's really for me, this segment. This is for Nikola Jokic, card ladder headlines.
Ooh.
2015 Orange Prism PSA 9.
Yep.
Now, we've actually talked a couple of Jokics the last few weeks, so I don't need to go on this a lot, but I think this is really a trend that I am seeing. So basically, since 2023, he's just on a steady incline. I think I've really missed the boat on picking up a nice cheap Jokic.
Oh, maybe if Denver put in a bad 10 games to start the season, they might drop off a bit.
He might bottom out, yeah, but geez, I think he's just had this very sustained organic growth, which I think is really well deserved. I think I was just too late.
It's well deserved. I
was just too late on picking up the trend, Dad. I think that's the reality of the situation. Or I sat too long on my hands. That's another way. Anyway, congratulations to all the Nikola Jokic holders. You are absolutely killing it. Prism Decker is here. So another word for Decker is just increasing the print run basically to infinity. It's another way for Prism to add another 55 different variants into this. I'm actually not going to go too deep on this ad. It's also Prism Photo is being released around the same time. Now, I think I'm going to tie this back to one of our listener questions from Ryan at the start. Maybe Decker isn't well received, and it's a really good opportunity for people to get into cheap boxes. I think until we start to see the resale on eBay and we get a real sort of solid indication of what this is trading at.
What's Decker?
It's basically like another variant. So they've now got Prism Hobby, Prism Choice, Prism Fast Break, Prism Retail, Prism Blasters, Prism Hangers, Prism Decker.
But it's the same product. Like, it's just Prism cards.
I think it's...
Do they just not want to come up with another set name?
I think it's different variants of. So, for example, the Luca on the front, like we don't have this particular variant in any other product. And here you go. This is like a splashy black and gold and a green splash, I suppose, if you want to call it that. This
also
looks like a black splash.
Amazing insert sets like Downtown Bound. Is that suggesting that one day they'll get a Downtown card made? Ready to explode. They're ready to have a kaboom. I don't know.
Downtowns will be back in 1-1. We just haven't seen that. That hasn't surfaced yet.
The insert set called Downtown Bound, is it like a precursor to cards that they're thinking about putting in the Downtown set, like in 1-1? That's just...
Maybe. I mean, look, maybe this is the straw that breaks the camel's back, right, Ad? And this is what drops the price of Prism, down to...
Floodgates just open.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of product,
I was going to say, there's rookie shields on the cards.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's a Prism product, yeah.
I don't get it.
Look, I'm really interested to see the price point of this and see how this sort of plays out. I think there's still a place for choice because the Nebula is in choice, so people want that. And there are people that want a parallel only product and they don't want to go through 250 base cards. So
fair enough.
Choice does appeal to some people. It's not for everyone. Some people hate that. But some people, that's their cup of tea. So, yeah. Look, anyway, I'm very... wait and see on this. I'm not hyping this up.
I'm not even. Yeah.
This next one, Ad, I'm going to move that till later because I wouldn't mind to have a proper chew on that. So let's go into the Jamal Murray extension because I'm actually excited to talk about this.
Yeah.
So this is really good. Basically, I think in the simplest way to talk about this is that you need to think about this for 3 years from now, not today, because today this is not great for their salary cap.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of posturing online about this in that they overpaid and they didn't even try to negotiate with him. And that's basically summarizing a few different people's opinions. And there was the Hoops Collective did basically like half their podcast about that point. But I actually disagree because when the salary cap basically triples in the next few years, the future max is actually going to be 112 million.
Way more, yeah.
So let's just say, this comes out to be around $45 to $50 million, which I agree is high, and particularly when you pass it with all their other contracts.
Mm.
I just also think for that roster continuity, and particularly when you've got someone like Nikola Jokic, who he pairs really well with,
Yeah.
into future prices, when you know that the salary cap is going up, I don't actually have a problem with this. The other thing too is that I kind of view them as defending champs a little bit, because they weren't that terrible last year. They just had, they
Well,
could have been better.
but they did get knocked out well, and they didn't get to the prize fight. But
Yeah,
sure.
they did, but at the same time, I don't really think their roster is that flawed that they couldn't be champions again. That's the in the back of my head where
Agreed.
I'm sort of leading with that sort of commentary. So I think that's the other thing for me. I think it's really important they come back. The only devil's advocate I can make at this point is you do some outlandish stuff where you trade him away and you get like James Harden, and then with that salary cap difference, you get another $20 million player. Like, is that something they could have done? I think actually the problem with their roster is going to be the guys like Zeke Naji, who's getting like paid $10 million next year. If he doesn't crack the rotation, he's getting paid $10 million. To me, that's the one where I'm like,
yeah,
that's a problem.
That's problematic. Yeah, for sure.
Let's go full circle. Let's take this back to cards. This is from Instagram. It's Clutch Cards. Jamal Murray, 1 of 1 Logoman from 22-23. That sold for $11,000. Look, I think Murray is a really good buy. And my only sort of issue with him is that I just don't think the upside is there, even though he's ticked all the boxes in all the right ways.
Let's look at
his Silver Prism from 2016. The last sold on that was $216 for a PSA 10. We haven't talked about PSA 10 silvers for a couple of weeks, I feel like, Ad. So
yeah,
we need to hit this pretty hard. Population on this is just 206. So for me, this ticks all the right boxes. Mm-hmm. PSA 10, silver, relatively low population, championship player, really good scorer. He's had some big games. I've got no problem with this. In fact, I would call this a buy. But the real question for me is, what's the upside on it? Probably not a lot, but still at that price of $200, like that's going back to 2018 prices.
Yeah,
I think that's, look, I actually think that's a little bit of a insufficiency in the market, to be honest. So, yeah. All right. Super quick hitter. I love this guy back in the day. John Henson has retired. I loved his defensive versatility.
No.
He had a 7'6" wingspan. He was kind of one of those guys that I was like, why aren't you better? Why aren't you doing more? Anyway, he never really got it together. He's 33 years old. He's got a media career lined up to him. He's calling it a day. So safe travels, friend. Enjoy your retirement. I hope you're having some cocktails on the beach somewhere. Yeah.
That's pretty good. I like that.
I reckon this one we should finish the show on, actually. Yeah, this is like a really... All right, maybe we'll finish it on this one. We've probably got time for one more.
All right.
This is just a weird one from Twitter, @JCS Collects. What I'm learning is to not sleep on is $1 cards. Starting to put some up on eBay, it adds up. Once they're up, you don't have to do anything until it sells, rather than let it sit in a box forever. And this is the ComCA argument, isn't it? Which we haven't done the ComCA ad. This is the perfect segue into that. Go to ussportscardsaustralia.com.au. Go to their 3 noodles on the left-hand side. Click on ComCA. Fill out the form. Send all of your cards to Ross. He will put them up onto his website. At the end of the month, he'll send you basically the money from the cards that have sold. It's exactly the same principle as ComC. This is really just the ComC versus eBay argument.
Yeah.
And then you've got hopefully significantly less fees when you're selling with Ross instead of, the 18% plus the shipping fees that you sell with eBay at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. So, eBay fees are a bit of a killer.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's the perfect segue into it. So, yeah, also on US Sports Cards Australia, you can buy sealed product, protectable stuff. They've also got some breaks listed on there too. Wrestling, soccer, ice hockey, baseball, NFL, they do the absolute lot. So, yeah.
Nice.
Last one, Adam, we'll call it a night.
Yeah.
Big 3 power rankings. From Basketball Forever.
Okay.
So this actually gives me a little bit of internal peace because last year I called Porzingis the number one, number 3 man, and that's pretty much what he's been listed by Basketball Forever this year. So
I'd like to put a counter argument for Derek White into that big 3, but anyway. US Olympian Derek White, I might add.
Yep.
US gold medal winner Derek White, which is more than we can say for Jaylen Brown. Anyway.
Yeah. Looking at this picture, I don't think these are in order because they've got Luka on the left and then the middle Clay and then Kyrie. But I think Kyrie should be them if it's in that particular order. Maybe it's not. So I'm going Klay Thompson is the 3rd there. I've already made my argument that Paul George is the 3rd in Philadelphia. I think Maxi's the 2nd. Could be controversial.
Do you reckon Steve Kerr had a hand in this and put Jaylen Brown before Tatum?
Oh, I didn't actually look at that. So maybe this is out of order, actually. That doesn't make sense then, does it?
Embiid's the 1st. Lillard's the 1st. There's no way there's no way.
It's out of order, yeah.
It has to be out of order.
Because Giannis should be...
Rudy Gobert is not the number 1 guy in Minnesota.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, if it's the person in the middle, then Luka should be in the middle, not Klay Thompson.
Yep.
Oh, wait. You agreed with me. I thought you were going to say, oh, no, that's right. Klay Thompson should be in the middle.
Should be Kyrie in the middle.
Yeah.
I agree that Luka's not, but anyway.
Hey, so for the Wolves, who have you got for the 3rd? Have you got Cat? Or you got Gobert?
I don't know.
I'm actually thinking at this point in his career, it's actually Cat the 3rd.
Cat might be the 3rd. The number 1 guy in Minnesota is Anthony Edwards.
Oh yeah, sorry, no debate about that. I was that wasn't even a conversation.
I don't know if is Gobert really. Yeah, I guess it's tough between those two. He is defensive player of the year. He is.
All right, perfect way to end the show. Adam, thank you for a lovely show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for another lovely evening of banter.
Didn't actually do that much cards, did we, today?
We did a little bit. We looked at a Silver Prism.
We did. We looked at one.
It's the off season, I guess. We probably need to get back to some of the card ladder, card versus card stuff, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe in the lead up to the new season, because we are.
I think
it's at training camp stage now. Like
we are in the off season, but we can overcompensate next week. We can just do like hardcore numbers,
dollar
for
cards 40, all the
for
way
45 minutes. Yeah,
that's it.
Just go hard.
It was good. It was good. It was good to do another mailbag. Except, listeners, when we do a mailbag, this is your opportunity to ask us questions,
not make statements.
Yeah. They'll just turn their statements into questions now and be just as confusing.
More confusing, probably for me.
Yeah. They're just a question mark at the end of it. The same statement with a question mark. Oh, goodness. Oh, but yes, we do appreciate all the kind words, all the questions, all the statements, all the support. So,
yeah.
Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week.